My name is Sarah Howe. I'm a nationally certified school psychologist. I'm currently practicing in West Fargo, North Dakota at an elementary school. I'm also the president of the North Dakota Association of School Psychologists. I also write children's books that emphasize the nurtured heart approach and help people to move forward in that. And above all, I'm a mom. And I'm married to a beautiful man, Mark, and we have 4 children, 2 of which were adopted out of therapeutic foster care. Now, what I've done with the nurtured heart approach that's been so amazing is it really started first at a very personal level. I needed it for our family to survive, but I don't think we have to take our hats off as professionals to use the nurtured heart approach. And so it seeped its way into the world of school and where I thrive as a professional. And what I've seen more than anything is when we take it out of just our home and we start really thinking about why is this good for children in an educational setting? Well, what comes to my mind first is I'm very concerned about what's going on with teachers. In my mind, I think we have a dropout problem. I think we have a dropout problem of teachers. We are looking at teachers that don't feel equipped, that feel like they're disempowered and helpless, especially when you have the most intense children come into your classroom. And then you get in this conflicting place of you want to do really good for all children, and you have this one child that's looking like they're disrupting everything. And what ends up happening, and I've seen it over and over again, is we just get into reactive mode. Here's what's going on. Okay, now we got to do this. Now there's something going on. We got to do this. And the shift of the nurtured heart has really been, and what I brought to my schools and with the teachers and with the administrators I've worked with, is we do not have to be disempowered in the world of education. We are very empowered and can be very proactive, but we have to get the mindset that we decide when we show up in children's lives, and we decide when we show up in others' lives, meaning the adults' lives that are in the educational system, because school culture isn't just about the children, it's about all of us. And so putting in this framework, this relational methodology, how we relate, having just that guidelines, it helps us to bring about something that we wouldn't have brought about before. When I got a hold of this nurtured heart approach, I had a lot of people that kind of thought I had gone off the deep end professionally. And they really questioned me on, Sarah, are you sure? But I had already applied it in my home. And I knew it was transformative. And when you have experienced it, it's really hard to take me off that hill. No, I'm not going to go. It's the same that we do for children. When they have experientially felt a recognition, you're not really going to take me off that hill. I know what I know, and it's who I am, and it's the core of my very being, and I will operate off that. I will let the rest come to me, all the research, the putting it all together, the journal art, I will let all of it come to me because I trust that it will, because I've watched it in action in a transformative way. I've had teachers come up to me and say, you know, I took your class. It's changed my marriage. I've had teachers come up to me and said, you know, you trained this person to on the nurtured heart approach, and I know they went and became a trainer themselves, and I took a class from them. I'm not going to leave my husband. Okay, what is that? Prior to this as a school psychologist, I had teachers telling me, I can't do this behavior plan. Like, I can't tally. Like, I have so much on my plate. To them coming up and saying, you know what, I'm looking at the world differently. And by looking at it differently, I'm not so disempowered. And in fact, I now have something I can do that can help me move out of this space of negativity. Which is really that's what we want. We want an action plan. Here's a blueprint, the nurtured heart approach. Here's the blueprint of how you're going to get from point A to point B. And then you see it. You see it seep not only in your children's lives in the school setting, you see it seep to your home life. When you have a human being that just is settled, that knows who they are, knows what their intention is as an educator, they're not going anywhere. They don't want to leave. They'll stay. They'll even work harder for you. they'll be more productive because they don't have the massive negativity. Taking this approach and helping the adults see that they are so empowered when they begin to see what's right about children. They decide when they jump into a child's life. They no longer wait for the child to have a difficulty, a problem, a family to have a difficulty and problem, and then react. They do the best work when they're proactive, when they're in front of it, and they're making relationships that are authentic, that are genuine. I really care about you. This is what I see in you today. And using this approach, using even the words that I've put into some of my books have been just the start, the launching pad of using these words. We talk about character education, but character education that's pulled off a shelf, it doesn't infuse in our hearts and in our lives. It just is like, this is something we do. Versus what I've seen the Nurtured Heart approach be is more of, this is how we are, this is how we do relationships in our building. We honor each other, so children in the halls hear us talking about the greatness of a teacher. Honoring people that are in the hall, whether they're family members that have come to visit our wonderful school, or whether they are children that are walking in the halls. You're going to hear about what's great about them. And it becomes a place I want to work, but more than that, it becomes a safe place to be. I don't have to worry about that if I go into the lounge, somebody's going to be talking about me, because my name is honored when I'm not present. That's a beautiful, safe place. I want to work there. We have a plan when we go to school every day. My plan is to see what's going right. My plan is to not get into negativity. My plan is to have clarity with my boundaries, with myself, with the adults in my world, but also with the children. And so they can rise to who they really are. So I can rise to who I really am. That's a beautiful thing to infuse in our school system, because we have all these initiatives that we don't have a choice. They're coming down to us. The Common Core, all the initiatives that are coming down, and they will keep coming. There is no stopping them. We have a lot of people that want to help us educate children, which their intention is right in giving us those initiatives. What's happening is that teachers feel like it's piled on, piled on, piled on. I feel like it's piled. Oh, one more thing, I can't do one more thing. The Nurtured Heart approach has said, I can do anything that's gifted to me on my plate, and I'm going to have clarity when my boundaries are crossed, and I'll be able to ask my teammates to come alongside me so that we can do really good work for children. Because really, at one of my schools, Eastwood Elementary, it's a wonderful day in the Eastwood community. We stopped calling it just the Eastwood School. We are community. What are you doing for our community? How are we caring for our janitor? How are we caring for our cooks? How are we caring for our administrative assistants? And allowing children to be a part of that community, that's the best social skills instruction you can ever do, because it doesn't end when you put it back on the shelf. You want honesty, you want integrity, just live it. And then as you're living it, the people in your life come and say, you know what I just saw? And I'm going to tell you explicitly, and I'm going to call that integrity. That's like, what is that? I'll come to school every day for that. Why igniting greatness matters. I don't think our children know who they are, period. I think there's a lot of people that say our children, they're entitled, they have all this stuff. I disagree. I think entitlement comes out as negativity because they don't understand who they are. And so they act entitled out of fear. Fear that you'll find out that I don't know who I am. How do we know who we are? It's by what are the reflections. It's the important people in our lives. It's the teachers. It's the school psychologist. It's the school counselor. It's the mom. It's the dad. It's the principal. It's the parent. Those are all the people that we circle around children, and we help them understand who they are. Not in a fluff way, in a way that they can go, well, I can't really argue about that. Okay, that's true. That's who I am. And it becomes a powerful way then when someone knows that they're honest. It's really difficult to cheat on a test. When someone knows they have integrity, it's really hard to lie to the principal about a situation. They own what was done and they trust that it's safe space to share that with the principal, that's rethinking learning. You know, professionally and personally, we all need hope. And if you've never been in the trenches of despair with a child, you know, my mother's heart hurt because we as mothers have this impression that we can solve anything. We can fix anything. We can save the world. I kind of have a cape on sometimes, literally. And then when I feel like, wait a minute, I'm powerless. That's not a good place to be. And that's where people give up. When I work with, as an adoptive mom, when I work with other parents that are going through this process, that's what, we all have a unified feeling that we didn't go into adoption with the intentions of failing. And then failure hits us straight in the face because of how we're seeing it. Because I don't think we're failing. I think it's the internal dialogue that says we're failing. Because when I got the Nurtured Heart approach gifted to me, and it really was a gift, I looked at it and went, wait a minute, I might not be failing. Because I was taught to see what was going right. See, both truths are always there. There's things going wrong, there's things going right. I had just solely focused on what was going wrong and where we weren't making enough progress. And so the bar was so ridiculously high that all these little mini successes, I couldn't even register. They weren't even on my radar. And once I got turned in, and it's really a seeing differently, when we have awareness, we can change. When we have awareness, we can do better. And that's really what it gifted me, because then I knew what I needed to do. And it's a process. It's not like the next day we were like, oh, now we're, because I had still scheduled on the books to stop the adoption, which is just a hard place to be. But I'm so empathetic to people that get to that point because of why they get to that point, because they cannot see anything but failure. And failure diminishes hope. And without hope, we won't go on, because our heart and our soul cannot take that. We have to cut ourselves off. So you must leave. I must be done. We'll talk about greatness, but we'll talk about greatness within the character quality. So we're always taking, wow, let me tell you about your greatness. You have the greatness of patience. And so we're framing it up, and then after the word patience, now I'm going to tell you how I specifically saw that. And not that we still don't have children that have difficulties. This isn't about taking it away. We're always going to have some level of struggle, some level of difficulty. But this is about how do we treat children with honor and dignity? And yes, it has decreased the children that come to the office. Yes, it has. We can give you data. We can give you statistics. What you won't see unless you experience it yourself is the honor that's given to each person. When we go through crises, the adult's honored by other adults. The child is held in esteem as they're going through that, so that their honor and dignity is held. Because it's just a moment. Is it okay that we each have moments? Do we need to stop all moments? No, I think there's a breath of emotion we should all feel. We don't need to stop everything. I think it's helping children experience what they need to experience, and then being there to really come alongside them. And I like to use the phrase sharing space. Why do I like sharing space? Because I am not doing something to the child. I am coming alongside them in their space and going with them on this journey. I want to share space with children. I want to share space with adults. I don't want to do anything to anybody. That's not what we need as human beings. If you're gifted with the tools that you need, these children feel us, so we can't be fake. And you do it relentlessly every single day. Trust is built. What happens when trust is built? You can attach to me. You can love me. You can be a part of my world, and I'm safe. Safety is everything. That's the foundation of this approach. Provide safe living places, both physically and in the heart, emotionally safe, and you'll cause any child to grow.